baby. I can feel you're awake. You're trying to cuddle me, but you're all tensed up and breathing real fast. What's on your mind? Yeah. I'm sorry that's got you worked up. Is there anything I can do to help you get to sleep? No, I'm not gonna use any magic to cast a spell on you. You humans came up with your own techniques, like cuddles, stories, exercising right before bed. But I know you've been so busy, you don't have much time for exercise at night. Doesn't look like cuddling's working either. I'm sorry, baby, I haven't been able to get you to sleep. You need to rest your little head if you want to get up and do your work tomorrow morning. Yeah, I know. Your mind is racing on what you'll do tomorrow, how you'll get it done, how quickly you have to do it, what you'll do afterwards, how you'll free yourself up for afternoon cuddles with me. Maybe a couple of kisses will help. Well, your breathing's calmed down a bit. Probably because I made you hold your breath while we made out. Would you like me to tell you a story? I think I know one. It's a famous children's story from my realm, but it definitely happened. It happened a long time ago, when travel between the 7 realms was as simple as hopping through a portal. Long ago, there lived a hero, a human, and a prince who was a demon, and they lived in 2 separate kingdoms. Now, remember, demons aren't inherently evil in the other realms. Cheeky, yes. Cunning, definitely. But not pure evil like they're painted in books, movies, and fairy tales here. The hero had no noble background. His parents were farmers that lived in the outskirts of a poorer part of the kingdom. Yet, he had a talent for magic and a keen eye that made him an incredible swordsman. Through lots and lots of hard work and dedication, he became one of the kingdom's most prominent heroes. Rare for a nobody that began their hero training at the late age of 15. The hero worked his way up in the ranks of the kingdom. Although he was capable of slaying incredibly powerful beasts that would have earned him a lot of money, he spent most of his time in the poorer areas that couldn't afford to put up bounties for the monsters that would terrorize the local people. He'd do his work either for free or in exchange for a paltry amount of food and supplies. He was a true hero to his people. The demon prince, on the other hand, lived a lavish life in the demon kingdom. which was close by to the hero's. By 16, he'd already grown bored and disillusioned with the hedonism of the royal family and the nobles of his mother's kingdom. Feeling powerless to do anything about the blatant corruption of his kingdom, he spent his time away from the castles, choosing to spend most of his days on the outskirts of the country. The Demon Prince was proficient in archery, but his real prowess was magic. Normally, light magic is only good for defense. Things like healing or placating single enemies. But he was so powerful, he could placate large hordes of monsters, bring people back from the brink of death, and even had the extremely rare ability to use light magic on the offense. His signature attack was Light of Doom, which would summon a terrifying beam of light that would explode on contact on people. One day, when the prince was exploring the caves nearby the two kingdoms, he heard the blood-curdling roar of a pseudo-dragon from deep within a cave. Pseudo-dragons are physically smaller than normal dragons. However, they still possess a dangerous amount of magic. The prince went to investigate and found a human on the ground, severely injured. It was the hero. Pseudo-dragons around that area were incredibly rare, and typically would be reported if mages detected their presence. Because the hero was only looking to slay some low-level monsters, he was severely ill-equipped to handle a pseudo-dragon. Fortunately, the prince found him, and was able to quickly heal him enough to keep the hero alive while he dealt with the pseudo-dragon. Although physical damage, like swords, do very little damage against the dragon's armor-like scales, the prince's light magic was more than enough to swiftly dispose of the pseudo-dragon. The prince was able to then fully heal the hero's injuries, fetching him water and sugar snap berries while he slowly regained consciousness to help him regain his strength. When the hero opened his eyes, he was enchanted by the prince peering at him. It is said the demon prince had maroonish white skin, crimson hair, and piercing pink eyes. The hero, on the other hand, had tan skin, brown hair, and brown eyes. After the incident at the cave, the prince and the hero would spend every spare moment they had with each other. While the prince would accompany the hero on his quests around the outskirts of their kingdoms, the hero would be invited to many dinners and balls at the demon royal family's castle. And although the hero invited the prince to his home, his parents were rather embarrassed of having to host a prince in their small, quaint home. But as time went on, and the kingdoms grew, territorial conflicts emerged. Each kingdom laid claim to fertile lands at the base of the mountains. They were incredibly rich in nutrients, as the mountains were extinct volcanoes and received good rainfall during the summer months. The outskirts of each kingdom were expanding so rapidly to the point where the borders of each kingdom were starting to get blurred. After diplomatic relations broke down, the human kingdom declared war on the demon kingdom. The prince was forbidden to leave the castle over fears of assassinations, and the hero was forced to fight the demon kingdom by the king of the human kingdom, despite expressing his love for the demon prince. But to the human kingdom, the demons were to be wiped off the map. But the opposite was true for the demon kingdom, who were content with killing off as many humans as possible and wanted to burn their kingdom to the ground, despite knowing that the prince, who was next in line to become king, wanted to get engaged to the hero. As the humans started to tip the war into their favor, the queen tried to send the prince into the battlefield because of his terrifying light magic, which she knew the humans would be ill-equipped to deal with. At first, the prince refused, until the queen threatened to send assassins after the hero. Eventually, the prince agreed to fight if the queen would spare the hero when they won, to which she agreed. Thus, the prince was forced to terrorize the human forces with his light of doom, and within a few days the human kingdom was nearly brought to its knees. As human generals were captured, they confessed that their mages were summoning pseudo-dragons to annihilate the demons' outer settlements. The prince wondered why this explanation reminded him of an event from what felt like a lifetime ago. After threatening other generals, he learnt that the king previously wanted to dispose of the hero by having mages summon a pseudo-dragon in a cave, then send the hero to his death under the pretext of having to kill lowly goblins. The king wanted to get rid of the hero as he was helping to build up the poorer communities that the king used as buffer areas between the dangerous monsters and the richer parts of the kingdom. Angered that the king would treat his hero's life so lightly, the prince set out the next day, fully prepared to take the king's life and end the trivial war. At the crack of dawn the next day, the prince, accompanied by the queen, arrived at the battle scene where the war had been raging on for the past several weeks. In desperation, the king led the forces that day, and at his side was the hero. The prince hesitated a moment, knowing his light of doom would certainly injure his hero. In an attempt to keep the hero safe, the prince invented a new spell on the spot, an arrow as fast as a bullet, made from the same magic as light of doom. The king's armor had zero chance of protecting him, and as arrow of devotion, as it's now called, pierced his heart, the king was dead before his body hit the ground. The war was over. Or so the prince thought, until his mother shrieked for the demon forces to advance, signaling this by launching a powerful fireball in the direction of the hero. Quick to think, the prince swiftly jumped in front of him, using a barrier to protect him from the spell. In a fit of rage that the queen broke her promise to keep the hero safe, he shot the same arrow of devotion at her. With the human king and the demon queen dead, and the prince now automatically the king of the demon kingdom, he declared an end to the war with victory to the demons. Without a leader at the battlefield, the human kingdom submitted. The now king decided to combine the human and demon kingdoms, ushering a new era of humans and demons living harmoniously. By combining the names of the hero, Akan, and the demon prince, Leuqas, the kingdom of Akaluk was born. The prince and the hero were eventually married and spent the rest of their lives together, ruling over their new kingdom, overcoming the deep-rooted corruption from the previous royal families together, and building up their country into the prosperous and harmonious kingdom it's known for today. The tale of the prince and the hero spread like a wildfire, and it very quickly became tradition for demon-human newlyweds to give each other water and sugar snap berries as a sign of love, the way the prince did for the hero when they first met. Wasn't that a lovely story? I get into this storytelling mode and I get all serious, but this story makes me emotional every time because the prince and the hero loved each other so much and were prepared to risk so much for each other. You definitely feel a lot less tense now. Oh, no, it's not a fairy tale. I'm from Akan actually. I don't think I've told you yet. I guess I haven't really talked about where I'm from because you're not really familiar with the third realm. But I guess if you're having trouble sleeping again, I'll give you another story. But that doesn't mean you stay up late. No, none of that. I hope you can fall asleep easier now. I don't have enough energy to tell any more stories. Can you give more kisses, please? Well, I'm glad you're sleepy now. Good night, baby. I love you.